Hey folks, back again, here to talk about Legend of Korra, Season 4, Episode 5, Enemy at the Gates. So, basically, we've got three story arcs in this one. I'm going to take them in a more or less random order. The first story thread I'm going to deal with is Asami. She's finally back after being out of the series for basically since episode 1 of the season. This is the one where she meets with her father in jail, which was a nice little callback. I really liked her just being straight up like, no, I'm not going to accept your desire for forgiveness. I'm not going to let you apologize, because I feel like our media tend to overemphasize forgiveness. I feel like we very often tell people that they're wrong to be angry at someone who wronged them, that they have some kind of responsibility to forgive, and that's bullshit. Sometimes forgiving a person is necessary to move on with your life, but a lot of the times, it's enough to just move on. You don't have to necessarily forgive and forget when someone has wronged you. And I think it's a mistake to tell people that they do have to, because very often what that translates into is that they end up not being able to move on. They end up being stuck with the other person. Now, I don't think that's actually what's happening in this storyline. The way the episode shapes out, it ends with Asami deciding to play Paisho with her father in jail, which is, it's a sweet moment, but we do have to remember her father attempted to kill her. That's kind of a big no-no. That kind of forfeits your right to Father's Day ties going forward, you know? So, her willingness to forgive him, I feel like it comes a little too easily. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it should have been less automatic. Like, oh, her father is back in the show, therefore she's going to forgive him. Next plot line I want to talk about. That was a pretty small, self-contained thing. I hope we get more Asami. We'll see. Next one I wanted to talk about was Bolin and his thing where he's now kind of starting to realize that, oh, maybe Kuvira is a little bit dangerous, which took him long enough, but, again, he was getting a very particular view of how she did things. He was only seeing the positive results and not the horrifying process that she was undergoing to achieve them. Now that he's starting to get an idea of that, it looks like he's getting carted off to a re-education camp, which it'll be interesting to see if the show goes there. If it's, in the past, it's been willing to show things like the Dai Li stuff. It's hard to come up with a better word for the sheer awfulness of what goes on in Ba Sing Se in Avatar: The Last Airbender. The show is willing to go there, so maybe it'll be willing to go there again. Maybe we'll get to see, a labor camp or a re-education camp, and the show, obviously, they'll have to stay within a TVY rating, but it may actually show a little bit of the reality, which would be an impressive thing to do. But that's maybe where we're going, maybe not. Maybe he gets rescued, maybe he breaks free, maybe he's involved somehow in, very obviously the next episode is going to be some kind of big battle for Zaofu, which brings to the other part of his storyline, which I have been trying to delay talking about because for some reason I am blanking on the name of the character who is Varric. Ha! I knew if I stretched it out long enough I'd remember it. Varric and Julie. I don't buy Julie's betrayal. I honestly don't. It's too quick, too automatic. I think she and Varric were play acting. Even though I would love to see Julie, kick Varric in the nuts or something and stalk off to lead her own life, because he does treat her like garbage. On the other hand, I do like the idea that this is all a trick, that she's going to, help him break free or whatever. I did really enjoy her telling the guards to do the thing, though. That was cute. As I feared, they're weaponizing the spirit vines. That's pretty close to what I expected. I was thinking something more along the lines of, a spirit army or using them as a power source, which looks like what they were trying to do. But giant spirit cannon, okay, that works as well. And at least it comes up with some kind of a weapon that could deal with an Avatar State Korra, which they're obviously going to have to be fighting off soon in order for Kuvira to remain the villain. The speed with which she was willing to just threaten to kill Varric is kind of scary. Kuvira is easily the most effective villain this series has had so far. It's great that her motivation in the flashback sequence in this episode is presented as being basically the same as Sozin in Avatar The Last Airbender. We have these technological wonders, we have this great prosperity and happiness, we should impose it on the rest of the world. Which, again, it's a very common justification for empire. We are the bestest of the bestest countries, and the entire rest of the world should want to do things the way we do, so let's go out there and blow them up. It's, the white man's burden, as Rudyard Kipling put it, for the British Empire. It's, let's shoot at them to make them free, like most of our wars in the Middle East, so on and so forth. It's how empires do their thing. And in this case, we're going to spread Zaofu's prosperity to the Earth Kingdom, whether they want it or not. Yeah, it means most people will have to be slave labor now. That was a scary word to hear tossed out there, because unless I'm misremembering, even the Fire Nation, at their worst, never actually went as far as slaves. So that's kind of scary. But again, it really shows what Kuvira is and what she's turning the Earth Kingdom into. Which I've been drifting into the third plotline I wanted to talk about, which is Korra's brief appearance in the episode, which I have to say, one of the reasons this season seems to be working is that it's inverting the problem of Season 2. Season 2, Korra and Mako were terrible and annoying, and the show got a million times better anytime they weren't around. Season 4, Korra's not so bad. Mako, but Korra's pretty okay now. But the show still seems to be at its best when she's not on screen, and it seems to be spending very little time with her on screen. She was in a lot of the last 2 episodes, but then this episode, or last 3, I guess, but then this episode she was once again not in it that much. It was a little odd, honestly. I'm not entirely sure if she's serious about talking to Sue on behalf of Kuvira. She does seem to be trying to reach a peaceful resolution, which is maybe that's how the show gets around the problem of fully realized Avatar State Korra could take out Kuvira's entire army single-handed. At least long enough for Kuvira to get some spirit cannons built, or whatever it ends up being. But, I don't know, it just seems like she of all people should recognize that talking isn't going to work, especially since she talked to Sue already and then went and talked to Kuvira. I'm not sure why she thinks that going back and talking to Sue again, after Sue has said Kuvira can't be reasoned with, that's a pretty clear sign that Sue isn't willing to reason with Kuvira. Also, Sue's right. Kuvira can't be reasoned with. She's terrifying. But regardless, Korra's probably going to learn her lesson next episode, where we're probably going to see Zaofu fall. That's what I'm predicting. That's what I'm expecting. That the attempt by Sue to attack Kuvira will fail. We'll get some Metalbender versus Metalbender fighting. Not quite the Toph battle I was hoping for, but we'll get something. And then either next episode or the episode after, I'm predicting Zaofu falls. Which then means that she succeeded in uniting the Earth Kingdom, which means she then needs to turn to a new enemy. The obvious one would be Republic City. The really interesting one would be Fire Nation. It'd be really cool to have a reversal of the situation at the end of the previous series where, we ended with the Fire Nation attempting to wipe out the Earth Kingdom. Now we reverse it. We have the Earth Kingdom attempt to invade and conquer the Fire Nation. On the other hand, much more likely target for them is Republic City, because it's right there, it's on her map. That big map Kuvira has now has only 2 black spots, little tiny Zaofu and big ol' Republic. So, we'll see. But what I'm expecting now to be the final battle is her attack on Republic City, and then Korra having to defend it, and blah blah blah. But we'll see how it plays out. I'm still enjoying this season. I don't think I'm enjoying it quite as much as the third, but I'm enjoying it enough to continue giving it a chance and letting it be what it is and see where it goes. I would still like to see the old people come back and kick ass, because that would be really cool. And because some of them would get to be women this time around. But we'll see what happens. And hopefully Korra will start taking a more active role in things. Hopefully Asami will start somehow getting involved in the main plot. I don't know, maybe she helps organize the defense of Republic City or something. I'd like to see her engineering skills come into play again, because there were some really cool bits with that in the 3rd season. And I'm expecting Bolin to have a pretty big role. I would also like to see more of Jinora, because I like her. Hopefully we'll get more of her. I feel like so far of the Airbender kids, the series has been really relying heavily on the boy, and he's kind of obnoxious, and I don't really like him. So, he's occasionally funny, but mostly he's just loud and obnoxious. So hopefully we'll get some more Jinora. Hopefully Bolin will do something interesting. Hopefully Asami will do something interesting. Hopefully Korra will do something interesting. Other than that, that's basically about it. It's an okay episode, but it really seemed to be mostly getting us from point A to point B, gearing up for what I expect to be a lot of fighting next episode. Hopefully we'll get some cool looking bending. It's been a little while since we've had any really impressive bending, and visually this episode was kind of a letdown. The CG on the mecha was not very good. They stuck out really obviously against the backgrounds, which were very pretty, and then the mecha on top of them were very simplistic. It reminded me kind of some of the worst successes of the old cell-drawn era, where, you could spot a cell because it was less complex than the surrounding background. It's that kind of thing. It's really conspicuous CG on the mecha, to a lesser extent on the airships too. It was something that there was a little bit of a problem with in Avatar: The Last Airbender, and again, I think it's because the backgrounds are so gorgeous and the character animation is so good that the mechanical CG being kind of okay really sticks out as being not very good by comparison. In a lesser show, I think it would be less blatant, but in this, it just looks The mecha really look like they're made out of shiny paper rather than metal, while most of the rest of the effects look much better. Also, there was a brief moment where I honestly thought Bolin had just killed two of the mecha pilots when he lava bends against the mecha and they sag into the lava. I was sitting there thinking, wow, did Bolin just kill two people? But then they made a point of showing them escaping, so okay. We're not quite to the point where the extreme lethality of Bolin's power is going to be explored. Probably for the best. I think that's about all I got. So I'm going to call this a wrap and go watch the next episode. And hopefully I'll have time to record for that as well. Talk to y'all soon.